I'm going to show off the 69 Pontiac GTO that I built. This is a Monogram / Revell kit, 124. I started building this because Joe over at Model Building Corner started a GTO, and I had this kit. I actually got this from Kyle at KRD. So the car was one that I wanted to build. I've built it before a couple of times over the years, going probably all the way back to the 80s. But I hadn't built one in a long time, and I like the shape of the car and the body style. So watching Joe start his reminded me, you know, I really want to build this car. Either that or he put the whammy on me and told me to, I'm not sure. Anyway, Joe's a good guy. So I took it out and I built it, and that's what I'll show you here. We'll turn around and take a look at it. It's not as good as Joe's, but it makes a good shelf model, and I had fun building it, and that's what it is. I also have a shout out. I received a shop card in the mail, and we'll go over that real quickly too. And that's about it. Just for those who may not know what model I'm talking about, this is probably the latest release with this box art. A really nice blue. This is a Judge car, although you don't have to use the Judge decals. I didn't. I'd already built the two previous ones as a Judge car, so this one I just did as a GTO Ram Air 4 option, and that's about it. This car also has a very nice picture of a red one. Let's see if we can get the glare off of there. The really nice red one here on the side of the box, from the box art. And on the side panel, some really nice, just a drawing of the red version. So either one is inspirational. They're two great colors. This is great box art. It pretty much sells itself as far as the kit. So let's turn this around. I'll show you it in closer detail, and we can take a look. First, we're going to do the shout out. This is from Amateur Scale Model. I don't know why it says amateur, because he has some pretty good built kits on his channel, so they look pretty good to me. He put some nice words on the back. Automotive scale model building, and actually, yeah, automotive scale model building right there. So, but yeah, I like the way he did this. I imagine that's himself there. So, yeah, that's probably John, and then he took the model, and somehow he got that in there. That's pretty clever. I like that. This is a Camaro. I'm not sure, maybe it's a Rally or Z28 with that stripe. I'm not all that familiar with Camaros. Actually, it has a stripe on the front and the rear. But I like those wheels. But he has many other models on his site that you can look at. Very nice models, so check them out. And you'll subscribe, I'm sure I did. So definitely worth watching. And then we have this GTO. This is the Revell Monogram, as I mentioned before. It came out pretty good. I built it more or less stock. There's no aftermarket parts or anything like that on it. Well, there's one part that I did change, because before I get into that, I'm going to mention the paint. This is the paint that I used. It's called Bahama Blue Metallic. I don't know if there might be a paint code or something on there, if somebody can read that. I don't know much about GM paint codes, but that might help if you wanted to get this color in some other brand or something, or automotive paint. Maybe it would help, but it's a pretty blue. Of course, it looks much better outside in the light, not under well, it's not really a fluorescent light. This is LED. So The only part I replaced was the brake booster and master cylinder, because this car came at a really tiny master cylinder and no brake booster, and I'm like, I don't know how much horsepower these cars made, but I wouldn't want to stop it on manual brakes. Not something I would want to do, so I switched that out because it just seemed silly in there, and it seemed unusually small. So, but all the other parts I'm pretty sure, even the wheels, everything else is from the kit. The only problem that I had with this kit as far as an issue, you got to do a little bit of finessing to get the nose on. And like I say, Joe at Model Building Corner built one of these, and you can watch his video too, and it's a little longer and he goes a lot more in depth than I'm going. But he mentioned the front end, there's a little bit of an issue there, and that's how I knew to spend extra time on that to try to get that to line up. But it came out okay. The rear bumper, there's almost like no catch. I mean, there's almost like nothing to connect it to. There's no pins, there's no holes, there's no lineup areas, there's no help. So what I had to do was, after I tried several times, I put masking tape over this side of the bumper and onto the end of the rear quarter panel. I did that on both sides to hold it in place, and then I just put a whole bunch of glue underneath there to hold it, which so far it's holding it. And then of course I took the masking tape off, and then I put the chassis in. It's a little difficult to get the chassis in because you have to slide it all the way in the front, and you have to get it underneath this lip, and you can see that this lip is curved. So I got it as far forward as I could get it, and then I just worked on trying to get it underneath that bumper without the bumper coming off. But fortunately the bumper did not come off. I let that glue set a couple of days, and it did not come off, because if it had come off, I don't know what I would have done. There's no meat to really get it to put glue on to get it to hold. It's almost like it's floating on there. So, and but other than that, there's a couple smudges or smooges or whatever you want to call them here and there on the car, probably on the paint, I'm sure. The taillights are not molded. These taillights are molded into the bumper, so they're chrome already. So I just simply put some metallic red tape in there from Testers, because that's what I had. The interior I painted Tamiya French blue. I did have to clear this because that wasn't automotive paint, so I just used polyurethane clear. That's the engine. That's everything it comes with. Very basic. I didn't add any wires or anything like that. I traditionally don't do that, simply because of the cost. You know, it's an extra $20 every time you want to do that, and it had to be some kind of special model for me to spend that money on that. I could buy a whole model kit for $20, so it's kind of hard for me on a budget to blow $20 on a distributor. But anyway, I thought it came out really nice. I thought it was a pretty fair kit, except for the bumper. I think everything else fit together pretty well. You know, like I say, you got to smoosh the front a little bit on each side to make it look presentable, and then the rear bumper. But other than that, everything else went together good. I didn't have any problems. It's a fair engine. There goes the wing. You know, it's hard to get the swing to stay on because you're trying to use the absolute minimum amount of glue that you can get away with, because you don't want to see the glue. And of course, because of that, the first time you knock it like I did, it falls right off, and I'll just have to glue it back on. I've already knocked it off like 3-4 times, but that's okay. That's the typical with models. You know, once you build a model and you put it on the shelf, you don't play with it. If you don't play with it, parts won't fall off until, you know, years later when the glue all dries up, and then that's about it, you know. But it was a good kit. This hood all of a sudden doesn't really want to fit flush, but maybe that's the air cleaner, or maybe that master cylinder. I don't think it's the master cylinder. I think it's just a little bit. I think it's just a little bit warped. But now the chassis was a little bit warped. I actually took a picture of that, but I did. Oh, it is warped for sure. Yeah, definitely it's warped. But it's fine. I can live with it. It's a shelf model. So there we go. And that's it. That's what a project that I finished. I am still working on the fishing boat. And I'm still working on the Talbot Lago for the F1. The boat will be finished soon, very soon. And then I'll be making a video on that, you'll see. And then the Talbot Lago, I still have lots of parts to paint, mainly the engine, interior, things like that. The body is painted. And like I say, I made the wheels. I got to paint the nose. And like I say, I'm going to work on the, as long as I don't have to modify anything on the engine, I'm just going to use it like it is. I have to look at some more reference pictures to see where I'm at on that. But if you're watching, I appreciate you watching. Every video you watch and like and sign up for or whatever, and I appreciate them all. Makes a big deal to me. And at least somebody's watching them, right? So, but that's it, and I will catch you on the next one.